Right. Good evening. Welcome to That Millwall podcast, Sunday Night Live. Once again, Mickey allegedly made it through the first interview for the Millwall job. So, yet again, he's unfortunately unavailable this evening. But we're joined by Dan. Dan, how are you?
Good evening, mate. I'm very well. Yourself?
Yeah, very good. Very good. And back by popular demand, can't get enough of him. He was our That Millwall podcast correspondent for the game yesterday. Ben, how are you?
Yeah, well, good, mate. Three shows in a week. Need to slow down.
Mate, you're giving the fans what they want. As I say, you're the only person that's been requested. So yeah, giving the fans what they want. Evening, David, Saville. Yeah, I'm sure we'll come on to that one. Ted, good evening. Connor, evening lads. Mickey in. Well, as I say, if Mickey gets the Millwall job, you're going to have to put up with just us lot.
Well, we might. I don't know. I've applied for the backroom staff, so I might be off with him.
We're all going to have a bit to play.
Ben's in because of the Football Manager link, so he'll be cozying up to Aldo. Lions Raw evening. How hot was it at Preston? Ben, was it hot yesterday?
Mate, ridiculous. I was sweating walking to the ground. I had a jumper and a coat done up, and it was warm. It was lovely.
Evening, Monica. That's actually my mum. So we're converting her to Millwall. So we're getting there. Where's Mickey Barrett? Mickey Twin out. Mr. Nate, any other sightings of Warnock around Surrey Quays? Not that I'm aware of, but I'm sure you guys will fill us in. As the show goes on. And evening, Dave. Right, guys. Ben, I'll come to you first, as you were there yesterday. 1-1 at Preston. Had 24 hours or so to take it all in. Good point.
Yeah, I think so. I think given everything that happened, short space of time, in terms of obviously Rowett leaving and the game. Preston, decent side, obviously sitting in third or were prior to the game. I don't know if they've dropped down now with the other results. I think it was a good point. I would have definitely taken a point before the game. It was one of those weird ones that, as I say, you would have taken a point before the match, but having the chances that we did and the way the match panned out, probably a little bit disappointing. I felt like we could have nicked it. So, I think a good point, all things considered.
Dan, same question to you. Happy with a point?
I suppose so. They haven't really dropped many points at home. So, you always say win your own games, draw your away matches, you'll probably be in a decent spot. The only problem is we're not winning too many of our home games at the minute. Frustrating thing was it felt like, probably after the goal, probably up until around probably when Amaku went off, we probably kind of had him a bit more on the ropes and probably had him where we wanted. And then when Amaku went off, we just seemed to lack attacking output. I think Longman's been okay for us so far, but I personally would have been bringing Essay on again, a bit more fresh legs, still young, pace, fearless. I think that would have been the logical substitution in that position.
Yeah, absolutely. Just evening, guys. I can see Born Free, Die Free, Peter, Carl, Daniel. Thanks for joining us. Question for you before we sort of look at the game a little bit more in detail, both of you, and I'll come back to you first, Dan, as he's taken a bite of something, eating on the stream. Had Gary Rowett had been in charge yesterday and the game would have gone how it was and it was a 1-1 draw, would it have still been seen as a good point?
Good question. I think just given the context of where Preston were before the game started and their kind of strong home record, I think probably yes. But I do feel like we probably would have gone. We'd probably be sitting more towards in the middle of it. We'll probably be sitting more towards the bad end of the middle rather than probably the good end of the middle, which I kind of feel like we're slightly closer to that off the back of yesterday.
Ben, same question to you.
I think it would have purely been dependent on how we played, but it seemed like we did have a go yesterday. We 1-0 down. It would have been quite easy for us again after the few days that we've had just to crumble and go on to lose 2-3-0. But it showed a lot of character. I think we did have a go. I think we were a better team for probably 45, 50 minutes of that game, buying the first 15, last 15, I would say we were the better side. So I would have think it was just the way that we played, right? If we'd have sat in and just nicked a 1-1 draw and we'd have scored from a set piece, you probably would have gone typical Rowett. But we played all right yesterday.
It's interesting because I was trying to explain this. I was talking about this with my dad yesterday. I was trying to sort of get across the point of, I don't think we were defensive yesterday. I think it was just, we didn't go for it in the second half. Maybe what we'd have liked, perhaps Amaku going off did impact that. But I don't think it was a case of that we sat back and just played for a point. There was a couple of moments I noticed where ball went out of play and usually the ball goes out of play for a goal kick and it takes ages to get the ball back and no one's really bothering. Cooper and Murray Wallace quickly tried to get the ball back to Bielkowski to get on with the game. And I don't think we looked to settle for a point during the game. We just couldn't really hurt Preston seemingly when Amaku went off.
Yeah, we obviously had those two chances, didn't we, in the first half with Amaku on the break. But
yeah.
For the first time in a long time, I actually watched this yesterday, and there was periods of just kind of understanding what we were trying to do. We've said that a few times, that we've looked a bit clueless going forward at times. We don't really understand what our patterns of play are or what we're actually trying to do. But I didn't feel that yesterday. It felt like we knew what we were doing going forward, and we knew how we were going to try and break Preston down, which, as I say, it did work for large periods. I know we obviously didn't go on to get the winner, but it looked like we looked better going forward yesterday.
And Dan, on that, just to follow on, I think we did look better going forward with Amaku on the pitch and a little bit different, a little bit of pace at the back. Any concerns? And I'll highlight something that I'm concerned about, that we seem to just allow opposition players to run at us.
Yeah,
we don't seem to want to go and make a tackle or stop it.
I feel like when you're playing with three, one of the centre halves kind of has to kind of be that man who kind of steps up and puts a bit of pressure on if they've broken through the midfield line, especially when you've got three centre halves, especially if your wing backs are back in defensive positions as well. Then one of the centre halves has to move forward. I thought actually as a defensive unit we weren't terrible. Obviously there was that fairly suspicious handball involving Norton Cuffy at the end, and but no doubt with VAR that would have got given. So, but I think you make your own luck throughout the season.
Just on that, Dan, obviously that was down the other end, but it even looked like he sort of did that. Was that the case?
Yeah,
on the replays back, it definitely looked like it. Well, the camera for the telly made it kind of a bit harder to tell, but when they got the alternate angles up, they looked quite clear. And yeah, I think, to be honest, I think VAR that obviously gets given, another ref another day probably does give it. I think the only defence he might have was the fact that he probably didn't expect the ball to come all the way over. He probably expected someone in front of him to get a header on it. That's probably the only defence he might be able to use. But I thought the three centre halves, I thought, considering we've only got three fit centre halves at the minute, obviously if we want to play a 3 or 5, they're in by default at the minute. I actually thought they looked okay. I thought Murray Wallace probably had one of his better games that he's had for a long time, actually, to be honest. And so, yeah, it was probably the best we've had. And, Harding as well, I thought, again, he's continued. He's looked solid since he came in, and Coops was just Coops again.
It's funny how things like that happen, isn't it? Like, we had a couple of injuries. Harding's had to play. And I think we've actually stumbled across someone with a bit of pace. Someone who actually doesn't look too bad on the ball as well at times. I'm not saying he's superb with the ball at his feet, but he's certainly not bad. And we've kind of stumbled upon him because of the injuries, but he doesn't look out of place. And he actually looks now, like, for me, a slightly younger pair of legs that we've been crying out for.
I think he's about 20. I think it was 20. It was his 27th birthday, I think, on Friday, actually.
So but you can just tell that, Dan. You can just see he's a little bit more energetic, and that. It's funny how it's panned out, but I think certainly I wouldn't be looking to move him out of that back three anytime soon.
But then that means potentially when Hutchinson and Leonard are back, does that mean presumably one of them alongside Murray Wallace is probably going to sit out? And that's obviously if under whoever the new manager is going to be, that's if we continue to play a 3/5.
Yeah, I don't think I love Hutch. Again, similar to Rowett, I think as it just ran its natural course now with him, He's injury prone. Last year when he came in, he looked a bit shaky. So I love Hutch. I don't want to call him out, but I just think sometimes you just got to maybe move on.
I think Hutch is a great player for us to be able to have on our bench, to be able to bring on for like the last 10 minutes of a game if we're holding on a little bit and we need someone to come on and organise us at the back. But I do feel like his time as a regular Championship starter is definitely coming to an end.
Totally agree.
I do think out of the 5 we've got, if we continue with the 3, I feel like the 2 that would miss out at the minute for me would be Murray Wallace and Hutch. But, injuries can change things. New manager might just fancy different players. Obviously, one thing that Hutch has that maybe other people in our team don't have is leadership, the kind of leadership which Hutch does. So that obviously comes into it a little bit.
Hutchinson could also potentially fall into either the Alex Pearce role, where he's club captain, but maybe being influential off the pitch, but actually having him around the squad can help. Just having his presence there can help us, as you say, bring coming on with 10 minutes to go, 15 minutes, and someone that can step in if you do get injuries. And with Ryan Leonard, I know it would be quite tricky because we've brought in a youngster on loan, but Ryan Leonard could also play at right wing back if we really needed to, or if we were struggling there. So there are options, and he is naturally a midfielder.
Yeah, that's say we could go to a diamond in midfield. Yeah. I think that could work quite well with the personnel we have going to that midfield diamond, having a four flat 4 at the back, and then a 4 kind of diamonds central players in the middle, and then 2 players up top. That again, on paper, that's something that looks like it could work quite well, with probably Leonard, for me, sitting at the base of that diamond.
Absolutely. Ted, that question there, why are they still playing Campbell over Saville? I don't get it. We will come back to that because the 3 of us, me, Dan and Ben, were having a little bit of a discussion about this last night. So we will come back onto that point.
Steve, let's go back to your original point of defensively. Yesterday, the only times they did look like they were going to cause us any problems was when they broke the midfield and got at us and running at us. The goal, and I think the other chance they had quickly after their goal, it was actually just a little bit, I think, of inexperience of Amaku, where he should have brought him down sort of towards the halfway line, and we could have just killed the attack. And he got in front of him, he let him run. Then obviously Muzza, he just beat him, and it could have been stopped 15, 20 yards up the pitch, especially given it was so early on in the game. If Amaku had just brought him down after he got round him, pulled his shirt, done whatever, just killed it, I think that was just a little bit of inexperience from him, but look, that's really nitpicking in his performance. Yeah,
absolutely. Dan, I quite agree. The penalty, we were just talking about that. I think we were quite lucky to get away with that in the Premier League. We probably wouldn't have. Hashtag Schultz, hashtag Brad's mum. Tony, good morning. I'm pretty sure that he's from New Zealand, hence why he's saying morning. Mickey's still looking for us. Adam Barrett, your football okay?
Hard to judge after one game, isn't it? There were a couple of positive signs. It's hard to judge, and I feel obviously he's got 3 games in a week. I don't think we're going to see a huge amount of change. I don't imagine they'll be on the training pitch for very long, if at all, before the Tuesday game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the issue. What we've got at the moment with this week is the fact that we've got injuries already, and the fact that we're limited to who we can play. Barrett's it's not just going to be a magic wand and we're going to miraculously change our team and miraculously change formation, because he hasn't got the players to do it. So I think I said yesterday on Twitter, and I think a lot of people are the same. Do many of us want Adam Barrett to have the job full time? Probably not, but I don't think you can judge him based on one game where he's had 2 days to prepare for it and he's missing 6 first team, at least squad that would at least make the squad on a first team basis. So yeah, I think it's hard to judge. We've lacked pace out wide for years. Absolutely agree. Harding was superb yesterday. Again, as the boys were just saying, I think
he even had a good chance up the other end at one point, didn't he, as well? Just if he's better touch, probably sticks that away.
Yeah, could have been 3-0 down in the first 10 minutes. We could have been, but we did recover really, really well. And on the game, obviously, Ben, you were there. A lot of us were watching it at home. First 10 minutes probably looked like we were going to get an absolute hiding, didn't it?
Yeah, as I say, outside of that, we were really good. But look, they obviously scored that goal, so that where they got at us out wide, and they ran in behind Amaku, got a Murray Wallace, and there was a carbon copy chance, as I said, a couple of minutes after. But outside of that, again, I can't. Bart didn't really make too many saves. I think he had another one in that first half that was straight down his throat. But yeah, look, I think they're the home team. The onus is on them to come at us. So they were always going to potentially start quickly. But look, I think it was great character to come back into the game and dominate it for large parts that we did after going 1-0 down. But yeah, to say we could have been 3-0 down. Well, yeah, we could have been, but we weren't. So it didn't matter.
Absolutely. That comment there from Jonathan, Saville is there to stop the opposition running at us. I quite agree. I do think in the middle, I don't think he's someone that's going to just sort of part like the Red Sea and let people run at us. But again, we'll come on to Saville and what's going on there a bit later. Dan, I'll come to you for this. And again, Ben, interject as and when you need to. Amaku. I think it was a breath of fresh air that Amaku was given a start by Barrett. I think it was a vote of confidence. Clearly someone that, give him, you'll never forget the fact they give him his first start in the Championship. And apart from, and possibly being a little bit nitpicky, as Ben said, apart from probably holding on to the ball a little bit too much and not perhaps looking up, I thought he was excellent.
I thought I would probably agree with that. You can tell he's still a little bit young. Decision making, is still a little bit rash, but that's something that's going to come with time. He's probably just wants to try and probably make an impact himself to kind of prove what he can do. And there was obviously that time in the first half where he had that shot which kind of p-rolled to the keeper, should have probably have slotted Bradders into his left, and then again in the second half when he got the ball and was running, had the chance to play Bradders through, and then obviously he got taken out. So yeah, but I think for what he was there for, obviously his pace was brilliant. When he got the ball, he obviously wanted to be running forwards, driving the team up the pitch. So I think it was a really positive performance for him for the 60-70 minutes he was on the pitch. It was nice to see him get a lot more time than he might have done in the kind of 20-minute, 10-minute cameos when the game's sort of near enough already done and dusted. So plenty of raw potential there. Obviously it'll be interesting to see who comes in and who can maybe nurture that a little bit more. But yeah, it's just that decision making a little bit, and I'm sure once he calms down a little bit, I'm thinking he'll be completely fine.
And Ben, what was it like to actually see somebody in a Millwall shirt actually wanting to run and take people on and get us up the field a little bit quicker? Must have made a change.
Yeah, it didn't. It just gave us the outlet, right? Where the pressure that Preston had built over that first 10 minutes, we got back into the game because of those two chances on the break where he obviously got at them. And you could see after that, they didn't want to press him. And yeah, it is a refreshing change to be able to go from attack to defence that quickly and put another team really under pressure. Certainly we're going to see more of it away from home. But again, Dan's spot on. Half of me going, look, it's just inexperience. You got to let him do what he did. He's 18. He's going to make those mistakes. But that sort of decision making that's the difference between 3 points away from home or not. If that's Will Keane running down the other end, I don't have no doubt. And Ched Evans, I have no doubt that would have been 2-1 and they would have scored. The first one where he obviously hit the bar, the keeper pushed it onto the bar. It looked like we had pretty much a 3-on-1. What was it like on telly? Was it as clear cut as that?
4-on-2.
I feel like he should have.
That was the one I said he's got to square it or got to try and get to the back post.
I think that that's to me probably before he got the shot off, probably about 2 or 3 yards before that was to Casper at the back post.
Yeah, and then obviously the second one, as you said, Dan, that one looked like it just was screaming out just to roll Bradders in. It was one of those ones where I thought if he gets the pass off, the defender might have lunged in and tried to make a tackle, and he might have even got given away a penalty or a free kick. I can't exactly remember where he was, but it was inside the box. Yeah. So there you go. And then I just thought if he could have got that to Bradders he's 1-on-1 with the keeper, isn't he, with a clear sight. So, but yeah, no, all round.
And there was that one in the second half as well where he had again got that one, and then Bradders was just on the left channel. Probably, I feel like a good pass probably would have got Bradders in on goal there.
Yeah. So, but yeah, look, all in all, great performance. As you say, it's nice to to have someone with a bit more pace and directness in the side.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, a lot of the comments coming through, Amaku, praising Amaku, and quite rightly so. I probably think he was our best player yesterday, and something a little bit different. Something we've been crying out for, just some pace. Just, and we've all seen it.
I think some.
Sorry, go on.
You finish.
No, go on.
I'll jump in after. I was going to say some good news quickly. I think he's posted on Twitter, "See you all on Tuesday." So it doesn't sound like what he went off with was too serious. Sounds like it was more of a precaution.
He was out on his feet as well. You could tell that he was starting to get tired before he got that knock. But yeah, he was out of his feet. Just another one on something that you said there, Stephen, just in terms of that sort of man of the match. How Norton Cuffy hasn't got the praise, as much praise. He was absolutely superb. Again, that final ball just lets him down. You can see why Arsenal probably let him out on loan. But look, physically, he doesn't. It's very, very rare he comes out second best going forward or defensively. There was a couple of times where I thought, they're in behind us here. And he managed to get back, make a tackle, broke up play. So going forward, he was always an attacking threat. I thought he was brilliant yesterday. Yeah,
absolutely. I think the thing with Norton Cuffy, and I've said this a few times, similar to what I think it was what you just said about Amaku, he probably wants to show what he can do on the ball, and I think sometimes maybe holds on to it a little bit too long. But other than that, I think he's a really good signing. I think he's definitely going to improve us down that right hand side, and once he gets that final delivery right, I think he'd be very, very good for us. This next comment is absolutely outstanding, by the way. Dan Marsh, Mickey doing a Right Said Fred tribute act with Barrett tonight. That is absolutely superb. Evening, Alex. Overall happy with that, but I'd still swap Campbell for Sav. Yeah, we'll definitely come on to that. Looks like my family are taking over because it's my dad. Saville stops 90% of those runs in the middle. He has to agree with that, because if he doesn't agree with George Saville, we'll have a bit of a row. Preston, a bit like us, nothing in the final third. We only use two subs when we can use
I'd
5.
I'd really like to talk about that. That was a weird one, and we were sort of. There was a time in the game where obviously it was still 1-1, and Preston made, I think, 2 and 1 or 2.
I think they made 4 out of their 5 they could get.
They did.
It was 2 and 2 then they did. But it was that time you could see SA was warming up, Danny Mack was warming up for a time, and it was like, okay, we're actually gonna try and change things. And it's just a weird one, because again, it's not like Honeyman, I get he's only just come back from fitness, the young lads, Malachi obviously, but Sav not coming on, just really need a bit more energy in there. SA coming on to try and win you the game. It was weird, that for me. That would be my only criticism of Barrett yesterday.
Absolutely. And the next comment, I will come back to this comment here. What a goal by Fleming! We'll come on to that in a second. But back to with the subs, it's really interesting, isn't it? Because having the ability to make 5 substitutions, you almost kind of feel like you can change your entire front line. You can inject pace, you can inject a little bit of skill, you can make wholesale changes. It is interesting we didn't use them. The only thing I was thinking of was perhaps the fact that we do have games coming up thick and fast, and perhaps there'll be a little bit of rotation come Tuesday, which again we'll come on to the game. Come on to the Blackburn game later on in the show. 80-24. What a bloody goal by Fleming. That's what we pay for. Moving on to the goal. I think Denore had the ball on halfway, rolled it into Campbell. Campbell rolled it into Fleming. Nice little touch and a very good goal. By all accounts, Ben, and even Fleming said it himself, it didn't look as good at the ground as what it does on TV. Obviously,
it was down the other end from us, so it was hard to see, but it looked like it was quite central. I totally agree with Fleming. It looks much better on telly than I think it did in real time. You can obviously see he was outside the box, etc. But it looked quite central from the other end. But look, great goal. And just a quick mention on Fleming as a whole. I've been very, very critical of him for a while now, but that was a more improved performance. And yeah, that comment there, John, he seemed like he's perked up a bit. The old Fleming, there were signs of the early part of last year yesterday. He was getting on the ball more. He was turning defenders. He was bullying their midfield when he was getting into his feet. There was a couple of nice moves with him, Campbell and Casper. So, yeah, much improved performance and, yeah, good goal.
I think we need to take him off free kicks, though. Because what was that at the end?
Oh, God. Joe Bryan must have been absolutely tearing his hair out at that. You got. I know Fleming wants to take the free kicks. I understand that, but you bring Joe Bryan in every time there's any talk of him. It's how good his set pieces are, delivery. Scored those goals in the playoffs. Let him have a go.
Yeah,
just let him have a go. It's very strange.
From that angle as well, it suits a left footer. I don't. Yeah, obviously Fleming wanted it, but I was amazed that Joe Bryan wasn't standing over that.
Ben, close your eyes for this one. He doesn't mean it.
Wait, right, I'm coming on to that.
No,
I knew it was going to come up.
Ben, can I interject quickly? I thought you'd fallen out of Bradshaw because he's already retired on your Football Manager save.
It's not his fault, to be fair, mate. He's played every minute of every game and done his cruise shit again.
He's done his cruise shit.
Done his cruise shit again. Bradders did his usual yesterday. Look, he worked really hard, but there was times where we obviously went direct, and it's just how many times do we need to say he's got no chance against these big centre halves. But again, it wasn't a bad performance. He was just a hard-working centre forward.
Absolutely. Campbell got an assist.
He's been the talk of the group chat, I think.
Yeah, we'll come on to this. I can assure you we'll come on to this.
I don't know how much longer we can leave it, to be honest. We keep saying we're going to come back to it.
Do you think Amaku would benefit from a League One loan? But I don't think so. I think you've got to be playing him. You've got to be playing. David, were you guys at the game? Ben was. Our Northern correspondent braved the weather to make it.
In Barbados yesterday.
Used to it up there, though, aren't you?
Amaku reminds me of Stephen Reid sort of player. Yes, I quite agree. Right, boys, I'm going to come on to the Alan Campbell debate because this seems to be the biggest bugbear for Ben. I think it seems to be the thing that's on all of our minds. Alan Campbell and George Saville. Now, Ben, I'll let you go first. Your
I'm the voice of reason.
Your corner Campbell and Danny's corner Sav.
Let's not get me absolute barrels of abuse by saying I think he should play in front of Sav.
No.
Yeah, go on.
So the debate was yesterday that Alan Campbell gets dog's abuse because he's not George Saville. He's technically a good footballer, but because he's not George Saville, he gets abuse. So, Ben, I'll ask you, on a performance level yesterday, what did you make of Alan Campbell?
Alan Campbell he had a solid game. He wasn't excellent, but he certainly wasn't bad like some of our fans in the ground and on Twitter seem to think. He gets stick for exactly what you've just said, mate. He's not George Saville. That's not to say that I think he should be starting in front of Sav. I think he's going to be a very useful footballer over the course of the season. And I just don't think the stick he gets is warranted. He's not that bad a player. He did well yesterday. We talk about the goal, and as I said, it was a terrible pass into him in our own half, and he did really well to keep hold of it to then get it out wide. So I think it would have been Joe Bryan and then knocked it into Casper and then it went back into him. But yeah, he had a solid game. You can see his fitness levels are getting up as well. He's getting a little bit more mobile and he looks a little bit trimmer. So look, I think he's going to be a useful footballer for him. As I say, do I think he should be starting over Sav? Probably not, but he's going to be a great option for us to be able to rotate Campbell, Casper, Lenny, etc., Sav throughout the season. So, yeah, I just don't think he should get the stick that he does.
And Dan, I'm going to put you right on it now.
Go on then.
Do you give Alan Campbell stick because he's not George Saville?
I just don't think. I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. I think we all thought we was getting a lot better of a player that we've seen so far. The way Luton fans were kind of gassing him up when he signed for us, saying, "Oh, he probably should have played more for us last season, but he's a proper player. He'll do bits, especially in your team." And we just haven't seen any of it. And for the fact it was, someone who finished third in our player of the season vote last year, and probably, I would imagine, probably on 80% of other seasons, probably would have gone on to win it. It just seems baffling, and the fact that he's starting every week when Ben's touched his fitness levels. Yeah, they're getting there, but they're still not completely there. And if he's the one getting dog's abuse every week, surely it just makes sense just to take him out the firing line very briefly.
I
know your team, George Saville. You don't need to dress it up.
No, I know, and that's never ever going to change. I don't think. I agree, though. I do agree that Campbell's he does get unfairly treated by us as a fan base because the fact that Saville is sat on the bench and everyone's thinking, what's going on? The only thing I would say is if he's being picked because the manager genuinely thinks he is a better option, the manager is going to make that decision, fine. But I have an issue if Millwall have agreed that he gets to, or he's.
We don't know that's fact.
No, we don't. We don't know that.
None of us know
we don't.
Fact,
but it does seem, as you say,
likely.
His fitness levels are clearly not quite there yet, which is fine. That happens as a professional footballer, but he's playing every week.
He didn't look out of place yesterday, though, Stephen. I will say that. Game's gone by, yes, it's bypassed him a little bit. He did yesterday. It was the first time I thought I can see why Luton fans were saying he's going to be a useful player for us.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna sit here and slag him off because I don't think he had a bad game yesterday. I just don't think he's the right option for us personally.
According to Flash Score, he was our second best player behind Fleming. He got 7.4.
Well, George Saville.
I didn't even know Flash Score did match ratings.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on Flash Score now. I can't see any match ratings, but
go on to the lineups, mate. Go to match and then go to lineups.
Yeah.
Gives you the.
Sav still has a knock. Perhaps he does.
What I will say, just the last piece on the Campbell thing is, him and Casper are very, 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 very identically similar. They both. They look like they're the same players to me. And do we need two out and out old school sort of proper central midfielders in there? I would argue probably not.
No, I agree. They're very, very, very similar.
And Casper was very good yesterday again.
Sav's much better. Can we send it back to Luton? Campbell.
See, that I'm just like, he's not that bad. To say, let's send him back to Luton, is he? Like,
Daniel's pulled up a good point here with that.
Campbell should, yeah. Again, though, it's one of those, isn't it, where because it's Campbell that's fallen to, and he's not hit it properly, people jump on him a little bit, and I do understand that. But as I tweeted it yesterday, and I'll stand by it, and I know it's George Saville, and I get that, but there is nothing that anybody could say to me that Campbell is a better option for us than George Saville. Not just because of the position that he plays, but how many times do we call out for a leader, for someone that knows what it takes to play for Millwall? George Saville ticks all of those boxes, and that's what frustrates me more, not the fact of who it is. It's just the fact that
he has that leadership trait, which we discussed at the start with the centre halves.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Again, on that yesterday, you're away from home, 1-1 late on. They started to get on top of us sort of last 15, 20. When Billy Mitchell come on, I thought, it's got to be Sav. Bring Sav on, see us through the game. A little bit of experience. We get that chance as well.
You wouldn't even have minded Honeyman coming on, to be honest.
Was it his first game back on the bench? Was it
second? I think.
I think it was second, but he's still clearly not ready to go.
Yeah, he's probably just there in case we get
and there was another
injury crisis.
Another comment on Sav saying that he's still got a knock. Did he not go away with Northern Ireland?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Did he play?
I don't know. Cav Samson, Campbell, a pound shot. Sav Campbell kicked the ball worse than my 4-year-old daughter.
Yeah, he played half an hour for. Sorry, Steve. He played half an hour against Slovenia.
Sav Denor, the best CMs we have. Mickey starts Saville. That's we're up with the comments at the minute, guys. So I'm gonna sort of move on. Just something else on the game yesterday before we move on to specifically Adam Barrett. Do you think that the players? Do you think there was a shift in their mood, a shift in the fact that Rowett's not the manager anymore? Do we think that there can be anything that they were perhaps unhappy under Rowett and looked a little bit more happier, comfortable yesterday, or are we just clutching at straws, looking at something because they played better than what they had done perhaps under Rowett?
I think it's hard to judge after one game, to be honest. If they go out there and play like Barcelona in 2010 against Blackburn, then clearly we can maybe draw an assumption off that. But I think it was hard to judge yesterday to see if there has been kind of any dramatic changes. The players looked very happy when we scored, but that might just be because we scored a goal, to be honest. So just one thing that caught my eye earlier today was that Ben Thompson put something on. There was one of my mates sent it to me. Ben Thompson put something on social media today. That's the first time Ben Thompson's put something on social media about Millwall in a very, very long time.
Was it Rowett that got rid of Thompson though?
Yeah,
or was it Harris?
No, because he went to Harris when Harris just went to Gillingham.
Maybe.
I remember because Thompson started. I remember Thompson started in that Stoke game, and then Rowett gradually eased him out the team. And then I remember he came on like 2 weeks before he left the club because he'd been playing in the youth team, and everyone was like, "Bring Thompson on." And Thompson came on against Forest and dropped one of the worst 45 minutes I've ever seen from a Millwall player. That's nothing against Thompson. I thought, at League One he was a great player, and at times in the Championship he was. But and then he left the club. Clearly something had gone on behind the scenes, and and then yesterday or today, it still might be on his Instagram story as the first post that he's put up on there from Millwall for ages.
I think it's quite clear that there have been players during Rowett's time at the club that were unhappy with him, or they'd been falling out. So we know, Jed Wallace is one that's reportedly was unhappy with him, and that was part of the reason why he left. I'm sure there's other incidents that will, come out. Maybe there's something in Ben Thompson, but I think it's. I don't think we did much different than what we would have done under Gary Rowett yesterday. Personally, I think we may have gone a little bit more defensive in the second half, but I wasn't suggesting at all that the players were unhappy under Rowett, but it was just, I think, generally a better performance, and I don't think we should be reading too much into it. Breath of fresh air performance that yesterday. Did the same with O'Brien. Where's Zoe glued to Ella on MAFS? I'm assuming that he means Joe. Yeah, Joe is probably enjoying Married at First Sight. Couldn't join us this evening, so didn't get the pass for this evening.
Haven't heard from him today. Actually, he's been quite quiet in the group chat as well today. So maybe he's binged the whole series today.
Yeah, he's got 2 or 3 episodes to catch up on.
Yeah.
Gary and Barrett must have a problem with Savvy. He was one of our best players last season. I don't know. You never know these things. It'd be what would be really interesting with Savile is when we do appoint a full-time manager, what happens then? Because then you'll have an understanding if there's something more in it, but who knows? Adam Barrett. Too early to judge, perhaps. Only one game. But I don't think he hadn't. If the board were looking at him to kind of prove himself, he hasn't done a bad start with yesterday's performance, has he?
No, definitely not. I think again we touched upon it in the previous show that he's probably got at least these 3 games, isn't he? But yeah, I'd say definitely at least these 3 games. And it's definitely not a bad first audition. Getting a decent point away from home against the side that sat 3rd in the league. So. Joe touched upon it as well in his interview. It was kind of already like he nearly got the job. He said, "My players," and there was a few phrases that he'd used that he was obviously trying to make a point about him, even just being caretaker manager. But yeah, no, look, certainly not a bad first audition. Obviously, the time in which Rowett left and the game come Saturday, there wouldn't have been much changes. We keep saying that he'd been probably able to do. So we'll probably see more and be able to definitely judge more after Blackburn and Watford.
Before we move on to this, I've just got to check. Stephen Reed is on Married at First Sight. That's why. Can someone fact check that for me, please?
Well,
because that
Joe's always touting him for a job of some description down here, isn't he? So
that is, I can't believe that. But Dan, what are the latest
Yeah.
odds? What are the latest odds for our next manager? Who's looking like the?
Michael Beale is unfortunately the 3-1 favourite.
I was about to say Michael Beale and Nathan Jones seem to be big tumblers over this weekend. Nathan Jones it depends on who you go with. So on Sky Bet at the minute, you've got Muscats at 2-1, Eustace 7-2, Beale and Jones 4-1, and Neil Warnock 5-1. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Adam Barrett at 12s. But I'm convinced the only reason Neil Warnock's that high was because of that Football Insider article that came out on Friday. I don't think Warnock's really what the club's looking for at this point. I think that was, to me, and I know a lot of other people I've spoken to. I know obviously Alex in the group, Alex, who's on the podcast as well, said this, that effectively just putting Warnock into the end of the season would just be kicking the can down the road effectively. So I don't think that's a long-term solution. I don't think that's the way the board are going to want to go down with it. So again, I'm on Bet Victor now, and Michael Beale is the 3-1 favourite. But again, it is all of them 5 names at the top that I just mentioned, just in a slightly different order. But you know, there seems to be them 5 are the clear ones. I don't know if all of them 5 would be there. No, Chris Wilder near the top of the list. I think a few of us maybe thought he might be somewhere near the top of it.
The only issue I have, again, Dan, you weren't on the previous show, but I said if we do appoint someone, even if we give it to Barrett to the end of the year, or Warnock, whoever it is, the issue I've got is, will we have a better shortlist of available managers in the summer than we do now? And I don't think we will. When I say available managers, I mean realistic targets.
Out of work, do you mean out of work managers?
Yeah, out of work, available.
I think if you're looking at out of work managers now, I think he'll be back in a job very quickly if we don't get him. If you want someone who's out of work, I think John Eustace is your pick. I think he'll be back in work very quickly. Well,
yeah, that's what I mean, mate. Him, Jones, Wilder, you got a few, right, that are going to be going somewhere.
Out of them 3, I would be having Eustace as my number 1 pick. I think, to be honest, I would have him as number 2 behind Muscat as my number 1 pick.
Yeah,
I think, and just a couple of other comments here, and one of them is very important. The next one I'm going to show, MFC 1885. Interview start this week. Can't read anything into the odds yet. I quite agree. They kept banging on Sky saying that James Berylson's coming over to London this week.
Specified when this week.
Yeah.
So I assume might be on Tuesday. Watches the game, see how we play, and then interviews kick off Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, I would hazard a guess that that's probably quite right. I think he's going to have a look at firsthand. He's going to have a look at Barrett's playing style, how we go. Obviously, you win the game 5-0, then that's not. It's going to look pretty good. You lose the game, and then I don't think it's going to have too much of an impact. I do think, and some of the names again, people are sort of saying, why Eustace? You've got Muscat or Wilder. Michael Beale's playing. Rangers' record doesn't look bad.
I reckon I could get a decent record at Rangers, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's a 2-team league pretty much.
Nugent was doing tactics on the bench this Saturday.
I did see him on the bench.
Yeah,
actually. That's an interesting.
Would like Muscat, but Nathan Jones or Dean Smith for me. I just can't get on board with Dean Smith.
I'm not too sure on Dean Smith and
no
Jones, as I spoke about on the Wednesday Night Live that we did off the back of Rowett going. I just don't know. You read a lot of Nathan Jones's comments that he made. I'm just not sure he'd be a good fit for the football club.
No,
I think he ticks every box apart from that. And I spoke to a couple of people Saturday, and that was the overriding opinion. He ticks pretty much every box, but he started to lose the plot, didn't he, a bit at Southampton? And there was a few comments that he made about the fans, himself, and it was just, if he started doing that here,
it's not going to end very well, is it?
No, he's not going to look too kindly to being called a cunt.
On this, Warnock would be 10 steps backwards, and I was listening to what you guys had said about him. Do you think the board's expectations will change from what they were in the summer to what they are when a new manager comes in? Because if the board is still expecting us to be challenging for the top 6, I don't think in any way, shape or form we can appoint Neil Warnock, because Neil Warnock isn't the manager to get you promoted. Neil Warnock is a manager to come in and do it, maybe steady the ship and do a an interim role. It's not.
We're not in March. This is the biggest issue I've got with Neil. If someone said to me 5 years ago, Neil Warnock's available on a free, I'd be like, great, let's get him in. The biggest issue I've got now is we're not in March. We're in October. We'll probably be in November, I suspect, by the time we appoint a manager. But we're in October. We're not 5 points from safety in March, or we're not 5 points outside the playoffs in March and not playing very well. That's exactly the type of situation Neil Warnock is designed for. He's not designed for me to come into this group of players in October, we speak about Rowett's football not being great. I'd say, Warnock's is not much better at all, if arguably worse, to be completely honest. I just can't get on board with Neil Warnock at this point in time. If this was 5-6 months down the line, then possibly, I'd be like, right, let's get him in, achieve what we need to achieve this season. On the back of your question, do the board's expectations change? Well, I suppose it depends what state we are in by the time a permanent successor is appointed, and obviously how much money is available in January, because we spent quite a bit in summer, so I don't imagine there's going to be all that much available in January.
No. Definitely not going to be. And just on the Warnock thing, I know I said I'd probably have him as a third pick, but it's probably bit more tongue in cheek than it was actually reality. But
I think we've all got this wonderful dream, haven't we? That Neil Warnock's probably the most Millwall manager to have never managed Millwall. And we'd all love to see it, but he's 77 now. I just. I think
that's what I was about to say. I think for me, we don't tend to sign sort of stopgap managers, do we? We always sign a manager that we think we can have a mini project around, and I think that's going to be the way this is viewed. We've got another mini rebuild again to do in the summer, assuming that a few of the people that are out, players that are out of contract, are going to leave. As you said, Dan, we spent a few quid this summer. So what's going to be available to a manager in January? That's going to be dependent on probably who we can go after, because if someone wants to come in and make quite a few changes or doesn't think the squad's up to where we need it to be to make that challenge in the top six, then that's going to be a real key and determining factor in who wants to take it. Again, that's why I've just got this nagging thing in my head that it's going to be Nathan Jones.
Perhaps. I mean, I'm gonna pose something to you boys in a minute. Warnock's got, before I do though, but Warnock's got 4 clubs out of the Championship into the Premier League. Does age matter for a manager within reason? I don't necessarily think it's the age thing with Warnock. I do think perhaps that Millwall would go for a younger manager.
A little bit, I think.
Yeah, I can't see him being his next club for 3 years. Can you, Stephen?
No, but I think with Warnock, though, I don't think it's necessarily the fact his age. I think it's the fact that he himself clearly, he's thinking about the next phase of his life. He ain't going to be thinking long term. He's just going to be thinking, what am I going to do next? He's got his tour, isn't he? He's going around the country doing shows and things like that. I just don't see him really wanting to take on a club like us at this stage.
When he took the Huddersfield job last season, he said, because he'd retired for about the 10th time before he came out of retirement again and took the Huddersfield job. He said, for me to come out of retirement, it would have had to have been a club that I really loved and had a good past with. Obviously, that's not us. I think the only memory, obviously he's beaten us a few times, but the main memory he's probably going to have is that Muscat clip, isn't he? So,
why are you guys not talking about Nugent's potential? Look, I would not be against Nugent getting the job. I really, really wouldn't. However, I think that the board will potentially look in a different direction at this time. I don't see them pushing him into the first team setup. Might be wrong. That's just my opinion. But yeah, Alex, one thing I noticed yesterday is Carrick is head coach at Borough, Rooney is manager at Birmingham. What's the difference? Do Borough have a director of football?
I think a lot more money than us.
It just probably. Obviously, Rooney seems to have like a pretty deep backroom staff as well, doesn't he? Obviously, John O'Shea and Ashley Coe on there. Maybe he prefers just in training, for example, just to stand there and give out orders, whereas Carrick maybe actually gets involved. I don't really know, to be honest. Maybe just the direct, maybe the head coach takes a more hands-on approach to kind of everything.
Any good retirement homes in Ilverton Road for Warnock.
He's living down in Cornwall at the minute, so that would be a big relocation for him as well.
So I'm going to pose something to you guys. yesterday, we actually moved up a spot from 15th to 14th. We're on 16 points. We're 3 points off of the playoffs. Obviously, everyone's played 12 games. And we are 8 points from the bottom three. So, in terms of points, in a strong position. With 3 points, so with 3 points off the top six, Gary Rowett at the start of the season, the objective and the aim from the board and him would have clearly would have been to go one better than last year. And to go one better than last year would have been to make the top six. When I asked earlier about would the board's expectations change, looking at the table, I think they're going to be bringing in a manager to be competing for that top six. Whether or not it's realistic, I don't know. And I'm not 100% convinced it is. But surely looking at that, managers thinking 3 points off the championship top six, we can do this.
It's got to be an attractive job for a manager, hasn't it? You're going to give pretty much, other than kind of Lomas, all our managers have had a pretty decent amount of time in the job, you'd say. Obviously, location-wise as well, a club in London, that ticks a lot of boxes, particularly if players maybe coming over from abroad, they might want to go and live in London compared to another area of the country that they might not have heard of before and stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of, things that are obviously giving the club a good tick in the box if for a manager that's not out of work. And obviously, I know there's been a lot of talk about Nugent. Nugent has been a first-team manager before and didn't go too well. I hate to say it. I know obviously there's a lot of noise that some of us would like to have him in the job, but his other jobs as a first-team manager hasn't been great.
Ben, new manager coming in, expect the top six, or in his aiming for it? Least?
I think the board certainly is still going to be giving that directive as something they're going to be looking to achieve this year, right? As you say, it's not like we're 10 points behind and it's kind of season over now. We just need to consolidate and look to next year. It looks like it's going to be as tight as ever in the championship. So look, I still think it's going to be our aim. And I think I don't want to keep lingering on the Rowett piece, but I think probably that the Blackburn game, like most fans still, it probably had more of an effect on him than we probably imagined. And he probably just thought, I can't go through another season of it again, maybe. So look, we're not a million miles off it, right? We obviously nearly got in there last year, as we know. We're 3 points off it this year. Someone just said on the comments that we have got a good squad. Dan mentioned it. I think we are going to win an attractive job for someone. So, yeah, I don't think whoever we get in should be looking at anything less than the top six is our main aim. Whether we get there or not, completely different question. But I think that's still got to be the aim.
Absolutely. I mean, a couple of the guys are talking about Nugent and Robbo, what they've done in the under-21s, and then followed up by the under-21s a bit different to the championship. Take nothing away from what those guys have done with the youngsters. They've been superb. They were superb last year.
And that's the reason why we've now got a couple of, why we've got SA and Amaku and Adam Malachi, and why there's players out on loan playing regular football in some lower leagues at the moment.
Absolutely. And I think perhaps, I wasn't actually aware of Nugent's record. I didn't realise he'd gone to Barnet and it hadn't worked so well. But perhaps maybe he himself or maybe the club are looking at that going, look, he can clearly produce players for the first team. Maybe that's a reason why he's never gone back into first team football management, coaching, however you want to put it, because that's he's found his niche. That's where he wants to be. So, I mean, if he's going to stay in the under-21s and keep providing us with players like SA and Amaku that can come into the first team, then
fantastic.
I've got no issue with that. Absolutely no issue. This is
just on the Nugent one. Sorry to go back on that as well. Just basically what you just said there, Stephen. My big issue is obviously into the under-21s or the 23s when he obviously first took the job. Someone surely around that sort of level of Barnet again, National League or League Two, would have taken a punt on him by now, would be my only concern. So as you say, has he just found what he's good at and that's nurturing youngsters? I don't know. I'm just chucking it out there.
And that's
you would have thought someone would have come in for him, right?
That Mr. Nate Hutch would get injured in the dugout. That was in relation to Hutch being a player manager, which I don't think a player manager is the way to go, but especially if you've got ambitions. But no, and I agree. I think it gets to a point, doesn't it, where if you haven't made it in you can turn it around, but there's a reason why, and there's a reason why perhaps clubs haven't had a punt on him. I'm not taking anything away from him, and if he does get the job, he would have my full backing because he's been working in and around the club. But I think there's definitely a reason why. Muscat and Ray would be a good combo. Robbie Keane with Morrow as number 2. That is an interesting. That's an interesting proposition.
Stephen's been the one that's really banging the Steve Morrison drum out of us.
I will come back to that in just a second. It's tough because Leicester, Ipswich, Leeds and Southampton will definitely be in the top 6, which leaves 2 spaces. Going to be tough. Absolutely. But it's no different than what it's been the last few seasons.
Yeah, I think one of the 3 that got relegated last season won't make it. There's always one team that doesn't make it.
Yeah, maybe, but you also said
who it is,
you also
at the start of the season, out of them 3, I predicted it was going to be Leicester. And
Leicester were going to finish 8th.
I'll give you a very, very honourable cash out of 15 quid if you want it.
Oh, I might.
It's to save a fiver, just so you can get to Sheffield Wednesday.
That's we might. Can I pay you in beer at Sheffield Wednesday?
Yeah, do you know what, mate? You can buy me a pint or 2. We'll call it quits.
Done. We're gonna have to wear a Leicester shirt on a show, so I may as well quit while I'm ahead now. I think
we bought Odo from Shamrock. Nugent did nothing with him, to be honest. I don't necessarily buy into that because I understand that he wasn't developed by Nugent, but he still was given the opportunity to play and express himself and clearly put himself in the first team reckoning. So. Yeah, I agree that he wasn't one of our own, but he's clearly worked with him. Would love Ray, but he's at Rangers now. Ipswich will drop out. I'm not sure about that. I think they're absolutely flying.
But there's a topic of conversation there for us. Obviously, they went for Kieran McKenna, who had absolutely no managerial experience whatsoever, and he's completely transformed them. Would we be open to doing something like that? Obviously a few people have been touting Ryan Mason's name.
Do you think though that they did appoint him when they were in League One? And no disrespect to the job he did.
I get that, but again, if you look at League One now, who's top of that? Portsmouth. They appointed a 35-year-old who retired from a player at Oxford United in January to take the Portsmouth job.
Don't get me wrong. It's not. I'm not completely against it, but I think it's easier to take that risk when you're a League One club than it is to take that risk when you're a Championship club. And I think the board would potentially look at that. But I don't think there's look. It's the same as when you say when you play football. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you're good enough, you're good enough to be a manager, whether you're in your mid-30s, 40s, 50s, whatever. So. I don't know, but I think it's easier to take that risk in League One than it is in the Championship. Nugent was young and experienced with Barnett. If Mill had a better training ground, won the league last season, then we would have been playing Premiership clubs. Cannot go up. Mad. No, I agree. That's baffling that we won the setup last year and all they really got was a trophy, and then they play the same team.
Isn't that more to do with our youth category rather than the training?
Yeah, I think you have to have certain facilities.
That goes to what category you're in.
Yeah. Obviously, the new training ground is coming in time.
Yeah. Mark McGee could come out of retirement. He's younger than Warnock. Gonna slightly move. Well, we'll move away from the managerial talk to focus a little bit on Blackburn on Tuesday.
PTSD. So someone's got to say it early doors.
Yeah, it's the return of the fixture that's obviously probably one of the darker days in our recent history. I don't think we can look at that, and I'm not looking at it necessarily as payback, but at the same time, I do think that there'll be plenty of people that will be hoping that we really, really turn it on Tuesday night.
Notably the players as well. Obviously, you would hope the players have that extra fire in their belly. Especially it being as well the first home game without Gary Rowett. It'll be interesting to see what the Ipswichers, what the atmosphere is going to be like. I saw a comment on screen saying Ipswich, so I don't know. Maybe we just need to channel our inner Ipswich the way they're playing.
It's bloody obvious that Mickey has not been on the last 2 shows other than when he was walking the streets. He's clearly getting the job. Look, we can't give anything away. We've been sworn to secrecy.
We cannot, but the fat Sky Bet won't offer odds on it. It's very telling.
Absolutely. Most successful managers have had unsuccessful playing careers. I agree. I agree. I think this comment here is in relation to Blackburn. We are after revenge. Look, I think Tuesday is a really, really important game for the short term, stability and planning of the club, because I think it's a game that there will be people there. There's going to be managers there. Someone's going to get spotted in the crowd and they're going to go, oh, they're taking the job. Oh, they're having an interview and this, that, and the other.
Yeah, Alex Grace, if you're listening to this back, we need to know who's in the press box after the game, please. Absolutely.
Barrett's going to be, wanting to put his name in the hat. There's got all the supporters, before the game are going to be talking about who's going to be the new manager and what's going to happen next. I think it's a really, really important game. I think it's really, really important that we get a result. If we don't, I'm not saying it's the end of the world, but if we don't get a result, I think it's going to start putting a little bit of panic between the supporters, as if to say, right, okay, what are we going to do then? How are we going to turn this around? Because our home form at the moment just hasn't been quite good enough.
I think you're spot on. I do think you're pretty spot on.
Yeah, agreed. Can't add too much to that, to be fair, mate. Just on the Blackburn game, they've been hugely inconsistent this year. Have won their last 2, but lost their last 3 before that. So, and they haven't got Barrett and Diaz this year to terrorise us.
No, someone's just put that in the chat.
Thank God.
So, yeah, look, it's an opportunity.
Who have they got these days? The Bradley Dack's gone as well. Who have they got? They've still got that Dolan.
Sammy Smodics, is it?
Oh, he's been quite good so far this season,
He's
actually.
a decent player. Yeah, I quite like him. But yeah, look, they've been hugely inconsistent. So a bit of an opportunity for us. Jesus Christ, I've seen that Borough have won their last 5.
Yeah, they have. They're flying.
But yeah, look, a bit of an opportunity, as you say. I think it's an important home game for Barrett because it will probably tell us what or where he's going to be should he get the role, right? Or what he's thinking in his mind, how he wants to turn this home form around for us. So yeah, big game, and we're definitely after revenge.
The last game JB attended as well. I actually hadn't thought about that, but it was that was the last game that John was at. So hopefully, maybe he'll be looking down on us on Tuesday, and hopefully can help us get over the line. I think we'll smash them 3-0 comfy. Payback for May, and we'll all start dreaming again.
Won our last week game 3-0. Well, at home anyway. Last one before that 2-0. So.
We need an experienced manager who knows how to get this league, not Warnock too late.
Just on that with David, the only trouble with that is if we go with someone experienced with getting out of the league, we all said that on the show Friday, didn't we? But there's not many at the top of that list in the betting that have got that experience.
No, the only ones I can think of that are available without a club at the minute are Dean Smith, Chris Wilder. And to be honest, Dean Smith getting promoted with that Villa team, it probably would have been more embarrassing if he didn't get promoted with it.
Yeah, and the fact that Chris Wilder's just hovering around that 33-1 mark would tell me he's absolutely nowhere near.
No, he's not interested. Yeah. But John, on a lighter note.
Yeah, John, I did see that George Long was up to his old tricks yesterday. At first, I'm not going to lie, at first I thought, Mill Sports, they're just jumping on it because it's George Long. However,
I haven't seen him.
Two of the goals, the own goal, the first one was I don't know what he was doing.
Ben's going to watch it now. Ben, it's not good goalkeeping, mate.
And the third one, the counter, I don't think he actually dived.
It didn't look like it, did it? It looked like
he just sort of put his arm down and went, it's going wide, and then it went in. So, and the second goal actually,
I don't know,
was from distance. The second one was from distance. So
there's a shock. At least we can discount Norwich now. If their goalkeeper's out long term, at least we can discount Norwich as a team that might challenge for the top 6.
We're not talking about the third one, are we? Because you couldn't do anything about that.
Well, he didn't dive for it, really, did he?
He was getting nowhere near it, to be fair.
No, I know.
Have you said, come on, watch Leeds'
I'm
first
trying
goal.
to find... I don't really
any of you guys think
Leeds highlights on my Twitter. That's in trouble.
Well, go for Norwich then. I've put it in the group chat, actually, Ben. You can go and dig through the group chat.
The amount of crap we put in there.
Any of you guys think Callum Davidson could do a job? I'm not sure he'd come back now. I'm not sure, especially with no Rowett.
He did all right at St Johnstone. Didn't do amazing, did he?
No. Blackburn are a bogey team.
So bad. Sorry.
Ben's just seen
He's just chucked it in.
Yeah, if anyone hasn't seen it, go and watch Leeds' first goal. But be sure to type in Norwich highlights rather than Leeds, and be like Ben.
And Blackburn. Well, I think the last time we might have beaten them. Here we go, Ben. While you're still on Google, you can check this out for us. I feel like the last time we beat Blackburn was the FA Cup quarter final. Danny Shitu 1-0.
Let's have a look.
Go on then. Who's getting top two and who's getting the playoff predictions?
I think the top two's done, personally.
I can't see too much change, to be honest. I mean, I'll get on my predictions from the start of the season. All I'm going to say is the bottom three at the minute is spot on, but I won't take too much credit for that because I feel like a lot of people probably could have said them three teams were going to be in the bottom three in some order.
I'll go. It's hard to look outside the top two as they are. The top six, I think it's too hard to predict the playoffs because apart from Southampton and maybe Leeds, who you'd expect to make, you'd expect to though. It's hard to look past those. I think Sunderland are a sneaky outside bet to
they get
to
the
make
Allo
it
back in January. Then obviously that's game over for the rest of the league as well.
Absolutely. Go on, guys. 4 points out of the next 6. I could see Barrett getting the job. He could well do.
I could see 4 points out the next 6 as well.
Has anyone seen Jordan Archer and George Long in the same room? No. Lads, why do you want John Eustace? I think John Eustace could be a very, very good appointment. I think he did a good job keeping Birmingham up last year. I think he had them play. I know the playing style has been questioned. However, the fact that he was able, firstly, I know they had money, but you have to still be able to attract players to want to come and play for you. I know the money does help, but players could have gone to Leeds, to Southampton, to other clubs, and I think he had them in the top 6. I just think he's I think he's a manager that if we don't go for him now, another Championship club will, and it might be one where we think to ourselves, "Damn it, we missed a boat there."
And they did a bit of a job on us back in the last year.
Yeah, they did do a massive job on us. So, anyone heard of Amaku fit for Tuesday? What 11 and formation do you predict? We'll come back. We'll do that towards the back end of the show. Not sure about Amaku, but he did tweet himself that see you on Tuesday at the Den. So perhaps he's not as bad as first looked. Think we could nick 6th with a great squad when fit. I think the new manager is going to be coming in and saying exactly the same thing as that, Daniel. Whether or not we do or not is another matter, but I'm not sure. Swansea are flying since they're beating us. Yeah, they're going really well at the moment. I had to laugh at George Long at Norwich. Yeah, if Angus Gunn is out for any length of time, as Dan said earlier, Norwich are in big trouble if they've got to.
I mean, they were sliding down the league as it was. I think they've got the fourth worst form in the league at the minute, and the only 3 teams below them are the 3 in the relegation zone.
First Leicester, second Leeds, and also Millwall through the playoffs. Mr. Nate, I will have what you're having, mate, because that would be absolutely fantastic.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Why is this not doing it? At Ben, Stephen. Stephen thinking he start essay to manage Amaku.
I wouldn't discount that.
Yeah, perhaps. Oh, on that subject, actually, I meant to say this earlier. Thankfully, Adam Barrett didn't start Amaku and essay, so I won't be wearing shorts at the Den on Tuesday. Thank you very much, Adam Barrett. That's one tick in the box for you.
I'm sure that's the way James Bellison's going to look at it in the interview process.
Absolutely, he watches this. He's watching this. He's watching this show. So James, that's a tick in his box.
James.
That's a great shot, Tony Mowbray.
But realistically, do you see Sunderland binning him off right now?
There was talk though.
They're
not happy. Yeah, that they're not. They don't particularly want him. I mean,
they probably will in the summer, but
it's very difficult to. I think it's very difficult for us to prize a manager from another team.
He's a northern boy as well, isn't he? Are we going to get the same homesick kind of lines?
Think the lads need a good result against Blackburn for their own mental state. Could have a big monkey off their backs. It probably could, and it probably would. As we talked about, the flashbacks and what we think of it. I think they will remember what happened against Blackburn, and I do think it's something that it might help us long term. Get that off their back. So I quite agree, Paul.
Extra fire in the belly.
One-legged short, Stephen. You can pull that off. No.
About 3 quarter legs. There's only one started.
Eustace or Muscat, enough said, all done. Chris, I think it's really hard to argue with that. I'd be happy with either of those. I think, as I said, and I'm gonna say this on every show we do until the manager is appointed. Whoever is the Millwall manager come November, 3 weeks, whatever, there are going to be elements of the fan base who are unhappy with that person. I don't care what anyone says. There's nobody out there that will be completely happy with whoever it is. And I think whoever they go with, we're just going to have to back them. I would be happier with Eustace or Muscat, but if they bring in, I don't know, Nathan Jones, I'll be backing him. Absolutely.
I'll back him, yeah, but I might not be happy with who it is. I think obviously Michael Beale is probably the biggest mover, probably since the odds list came out, I would imagine.
Norwich better off loaning Sarkic while he's injured than playing long. Yeah, I mean...
Have we got any view on Sarkic's injury, by the way? Not that Bart did bad.
It was 12 weeks from the start of September, so...
we've still got a while then.
Yeah, he's still got ages.
Still looking at about another month, I would imagine.
It's Bart or Truman, and I can't see, especially with Adam Barrett, if he is auditioning for the job, he's not going to drop.
Truman in.
No, that's not going to happen.
I think I said this quite recently.
When was the last time he played a first team game?
I think he's only played about 50 first team games, and he's 28 now, I think. So
maybe David there, maybe. Who would your choice lads be? Muscat, Wilder, Jones, Eustace, Lampard. A bit right. Discard Lampard.
If it's Lampard, I'm not going. My season ticket's going in the bin straight up.
Discard him immediately. I would say one, as I said earlier, one of Muscat or Eustace for me. I'd be happy with either of those.
That's got to be the top two. Bill, I mean, he had a good 8 games at QPR. The second it got tough, he jumped ship. And then it's been pretty disastrous. I mean, he did okay last season in Scotland without ever really catching Celtic. And then the start of this season was pretty disastrous for him. Jones, as I said, I feel like I've got issues kind of with his attitude, aura. I don't really know what the correct word for that would be, to be honest. I just don't think he's the right person for Millwall Football Club. And Wilder, I mean, he's quite far out in the betting, but if he's interested, I think he'd probably be rounding off the top 3 for me.
Yeah.
The issue I've got, the concern I have is that Michael Beale is the least I just don't want him. Exactly what you said, Dan. He did okay at QPR, I guess. Then went up to Rangers. Had a good 8 games. And then certainly didn't put up any trees. I've always followed Rangers, so I like watching the games. And at times it was like watching paint dry. His recruitment was absolutely dog shit as well.
And he spent 15 million, which is a lot for them to spend as well.
That he was awful. So for me, Bill's just an absolute no. Muscat, I think, look, we've all said yes. I just can't see it happening. The timing of his contracts, where his current club are in the league, I just can't see the Muscat thing happening or working unless he's willing to walk away 80% through a season. Just can't.
I'd say it's more than 80, mate. I'd say he's probably about 90 to 95% through that season.
So exactly. So I just can't see that. As we've said, Wilder, he seems to be too big a price in the betting. So really, you're looking at Jones or Eustace. I would be happy with either of those. Got to admit.
I think Eustace is the one that's kind of ticking more boxes for more people at the moment.
I've got a couple of cracking comments here. I was happy with Holloway. Look what happened there. I was as well, mate. So don't worry about that.
Until we started bringing the Blackpool band back together for a laugh.
Yeah.
I disagree, Stephen. When Mickey gets the job, nobody will be disappointed. You can be boss of the show. Everyone wins. Well, thank you very much, AT.
I haven't found out who AT is yet. There's a lot of people need to buy him a beer.
Yeah,
Stephen, I thought you was going to be on the coaching staff of us, though, mate. What's your? Are you not leaving?
I'm not leaving you guys. I stay grounded.
I'm off onto the coaching staff, mate. I can't lie.
I was just about to say, if Mickey gets a job and offers me a bumper contract, then I'll see you boys later. But
Aldo's already messaged me on Twitter as well, hearing about my 4-1 win at Plymouth. So I've basically got his number 2.
Joachim Lowe's still out of work. Yeah, he is. He is.
Is he going to scratch his bum?
I was about to say, he also plays with himself and smells his fingers.
Is Honeyman dead? I've heard nothing about him since his first injury. He was on the bench yesterday, CEO.
He's alive.
He was on the bench yesterday, so he's back. Maybe not fighting fit, but if to start, but ready to go. Newsflash: if Lampard gets it, Dan is quitting the club.
I'm not going.
Yeah.
To Maidstone United.
Get Muscat in, give the fans what they want. More like Ian Bill. Jesus Christ. Don't know who, but would love a Thomas Frank type manager from abroad. Again, that's the dream, isn't it? To find a manager from abroad to come in and be able to transform the club.
Up to? Who's the manager to get Fleming to score like 20 goals?
But Fortuna Sittard are doing really quite well in the Dutch league.
Are we just going to sign? Are we just going to try and become like a Fortuna? Just going to be our feeder
Fortuna's B team.
Yeah. Well, we'll be the A's and Fortuna themselves can be the B's. How about that?
Yeah.
No one likes Jonesy. Don't care. Match made in heaven. Big Sam. No. Just no.
Straight up.
Moving on. Hi guys. Watching from Merseyside. Mick. Hello, Anthony. We've got another Northern correspondent. There you go. You can hit round to Ben's. You can hit round to Ben's for a pint. Back to Blackburn then, guys. Assuming Amaku is fit, same team, do you think?
I would go with it. Yeah, if everyone's come through it, fine. You could probably start Longman, maybe. I was thinking
maybe, but would you start? Where would you start him? Would you start him over Brian?
Yeah, just purely because Brian's not had a huge run of games, is he? That would be my only thing. But Norton Cuffy.
But then on that basis, you'd probably say, Campbell hasn't had that many games, so maybe you'd start Saville.
Yeah, but again, I wouldn't. We've become. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not asked about that. Get Sav in. But yeah, I don't think there'll be too many changes if everyone is fit and unscathed from yesterday.
Yeah, I agree. I do agree with that.
That was the type of performance I wanted with Rowett. Where's Ben from? Ben is from the south, but he's emigrated to the north.
Manchester, Anthony.
I'll tell you what I'm happy about. No one has mentioned Harry Redknapp for the job. I love Harry Redknapp. I wouldn't want him as Millwall manager. It's a new manager at Fortuna, came in after Zian left. Okay, then, so we need to find out who was managing Fortuna Sittard when Zian Fleming was there.
See what he's doing.
Go for Scott Parker. I think he's someone that wants too much money and wants money to spend. And
I'm just not sure, given his Charlton and West Ham connections either.
Yeah, that's true. Same team, changed Campbell over Saville.
Can we just go back? How many times that's going to be mentioned in the comments to come?
I think the problem is the team, because of injuries, is literally picking itself. Like, if you actually look on our bench, obviously on our bench was Honeyman, who probably still isn't quite ready yet. We had Adam Malachi, who they clearly don't want to play just yet, and we also had Leahy, and that was his first experience on the bench. Add Truman in, there's 4 players already. So then all of a sudden, you've only really probably got 5 players that you may want to change.
Yeah.
Malachi as well. He's going to be third in that list, right? Because you've got Brian. If it's not going to be Brian, it's going to be Longman.
I'd probably be looking to get Malachi out on loan, to be honest. And if he's not going to go out before January, maybe they want him playing in the EFL on loan rather than in non-league.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. I think the team will pick itself tomorrow. Obviously, Amaku. Sorry, not tomorrow. On Tuesday, I think Amaku is the only one that there'll be a change if he's not fit. I think Longman's clearly the obvious one to play in that kind of wider role if that's where they're going to play him.
I was just going to say, if we stick the same team, Longman doesn't go at full-back. Does Longman come into that role that Amaku played and not Esse?
I would go Esse and put Fleming further forward. Personally, I said this the other day. I'd put Fleming. I'd get Fleming up alongside Bradshaw and give him that kind of the role of being
an actual 10.
Stay and let Esse have that kind of free roam role a little bit. That's how I would go. But I think because we kind of lined up, didn't we, to start with? Amaku and Fleming kind of were a little bit wider, weren't they? Rather than and I think if we start the same way, then I think Longman would be the one that's going to come in. Definitely no ex-Westman for manager.
We know how that went last time.
New manager better have the sense to play Sav.
That's
no,
one.
Parker is a hamster. Campbell has something in his loan contract. You will count that as another one. Ben,
Paul, Paul, can I just seek some clarification? I think it was you who had the chat with Campbell's family yesterday. Can we just get some extra clarification? It was you, please.
Oh yeah.
I work in the Trafford Centre, Ben. There you go. You can go and meet.
There you go, Ben. There's your lunch break. So he might have a little staff discount for you.
Where do you work, Anthony? Is it food related or in a pub?
Food related. I'm there.
Agreed. I'd have Fleming as a target man. I'm not so sure maybe about the target man, but I definitely would have him as a 2.
I was just about to say that with Conlo. When we play more direct, as we've said a million times, it's irrelevant doing it to Bradders. You've never seen him win a header.
No.
So if we are going to go a bit more direct, having Fleming up there wouldn't be a bad shout because he's very decent in the air.
Yeah, but I wouldn't like to just see him used as the target man.
No, definitely
no,
not.
He's got too much quality to be used.
Yeah, definitely not.
Are Lenny and Watmore still out? Yes, I believe they are. They're not going to be back for a couple of weeks.
Well, Leonard sounds like a couple of weeks, but I mean, I didn't do sports science and no physio or anything like that, but a cracked bone in the knee sounds quite serious, to be honest.
Yeah, we all said that. It didn't seem like it was just a quick fix that Rowett seems to think it was like a couple of cowpole doses and it'd be all right.
Will the new manager have to watch all those replays back on Millwall TV? Perhaps. Need to make a noise midweek for any potential candidates watching on. Paul, yes, it was. It was Paul who had a chat with Alan Campbell's family yesterday. From what we understand, Paul was told to stop with his abuse of Alan Campbell because his family was there and carried on doing it anyway. So yeah, MFCO. So Marty, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. Hammarby plays great football, doing well in the Swedish league, which finishes in 3 weeks.
These are
no
Husky
idea.
Brothers.
No idea.
Husky brothers. I'm not sure. I think they are our Husky brothers, actually.
This is getting really good now for you, Ben. Hold on 1 second.
There is a Bradders comment. I'm leaving.
Not this one. Were you tapping up Bradders' mum yesterday again, Ben?
Unfortunately, didn't see lovely Mrs. Bradshaw.
And this one, Pizza Hut, Ben, come and say hi.
I'm in, yeah. All over it. Done.
I don't care if the next manager is ex-Palace, Anna at West Ham. Billy Bonds signed Neil Harris, remember. Interesting take. There's a lot of people that won't agree with that, and perhaps I can understand why. But, board have got to try and point who the right person is. Work always play, let them come on my speaker at work. And that's again from Anthony. In a Pizza Hut, that is interesting.
In a Pizza Hut in Manchester.
In Manchester, yeah, that is interesting.
I'm coming in my full kit on Wednesday, Anthony. See you there.
Paul, what a legend. I would like to see Amaku and Essay on each wing.
That's what Carl Ball's going to bring us, ladies and gentlemen.
But Remain Essay isn't a winger though, guys. We've got to stop pushing this narrative. He's just not.
Unless we're going to play like Pep's style of like 3-2-2-3 or whatever it is, then he's going to play on the wing because he's good, but he's not quite to replace Fleming. Maybe if Fleming goes in January or next summer, then yeah, why not? But right now, no. Sorry.
What we got here? New manager and get that striker in from Bournemouth in January. Push right on. Agreed. Although I think Kiefer Moore, maybe it depends who the new manager is, but I think personally, I think
there's only one place he's going in January if he leaves Bournemouth, and that's back to Cardiff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's going to, and I also think the new manager that comes in January for us is probably going to have to prioritise other positions. I'm not saying that we don't need a bigger striker or don't need a plan B, but I think if he's looking at it, maybe wants to bring in some wingers or maybe with the centre backs that we've got, maybe someone in
centre half,
yeah, in positions like that. So I'm not sure. Watmore got injured when he celebrated. That's just our luck. Yeah, but it
was.
I'm actually surprised he's aggravated it. I'm not surprised he hasn't been injured getting off the coach previously. So if it was a celebration, That's not a surprise.
We have a lot of players.
Ninja taking the bins out once, didn't he? So,
and if we can get the right man to fine-tune these boys, we'd have something special. I quite agree. I really, really do. Anyone fancy Danny at right back and Cuffy at right wing as Danny's outlet? No, not for me. I'm afraid
we'd have to play a 4-2-3-1, and right now I don't see a 4-2-3-1 happening.
No, SA played on the wing with the under-21s. David, yes, he did. And I'm not. I think I've seen a couple of
out wide.
I think. I'm not sure.
We're on the same page.
There's a couple of comments that have gone through about the under-21s. I think David's been talking to a couple of guys in the chat. The under-21s, you've got to realise as well, and it's the same with the video from the England, Montenegro and Wales games, that he is playing against people his own age, and I think that does count for a lot. I think when you come into the Championship, I do think it's obviously a clear step up. Personally, I don't see Romain Esse as a winger. I don't think he's quick. He's not slow, but he's not a winger. He's not going to run past people. He'll beat them with skill, and his passing is very, very good. But I think that those skills and those traits are better suited centrally rather than out wide. That's just my opinion, and I think that's why we haven't seen him as much out wide at the moment. Would you guys give Nugent a job till the end of the season? I'm not a fan of giving managers a job on that kind of basis personally.
If they want to give it to someone to the end of the season, then I know obviously I said I wouldn't give it to Warnock, but if you're going to give it to someone to the end of the season,
well, I'm not a fan. I don't think it sets an ambition. I think it just kind of, you're trying to tee yourself over to the end. Alex S, Matt Smith and Alafi, both among the top scorers in League Two. Yeah, really, really pleased for Matt Smith. I think he's one of the nicest guys in football. Shame it didn't quite work out. Alafi and Richard has put a comment in, big bid for Isaac Alafi in January. We have the option to buy him back. We have the clause in his contract that we get first opportunity to do that. What that means in terms of a fee, I don't know, but certainly one I think the club will be keeping an eye on, because he's got. Go on, Dan.
I just feel like it probably wouldn't be something they'd want to do in January. I feel like it'd be something they'd want to do in summer. But and obviously we've got a sell-on clause as well, not just first refusal. But do we know what the price is, or is it just if a team makes a bid and Stockport accepts it, is a case of just we go in with that bid? I don't know how it exactly works.
No, it's some kind of priority. We have an option to buy him, but there's no figure on that. I don't know. And we've also got a sell-on clause as well. So if we don't go in for him and someone else bids for him, we'll get some money that way as well. So Lee Carsley, I'm assuming you mean regarding the manager. I'm not sure. I don't know enough about him, to be honest.
He's done a good job with the England under-21s, and he hasn't played some good football.
Agree, was better given a free rein with Amaku on the right. I'm assuming that you mean SA there, David. Well said, Stephen, about SA. Wall Lion, I owe you a pint. Thank you. Paul Lewin, we definitely need someone that gets the club and the fans, whether or not it's a number one or a two. I think it's vital to get our Millwall back. I really, really agree with that. And I think it's really important that someone in the setup understands what it means to play and be at this club.
Well, Stephen, I don't know whether it's kind of throwing you under the bus, but you was the one in the group chat banging the Steve Morrison drum. So take it away.
All I'm going to say is, and I'm not going to reveal too much, but I think Steve Morrison is going to be applying for the job. So I think he would want the job, and I think
he'd obviously want the job.
Yeah, I think he would want the job because I genuinely think that he feels he could take us to where we want to be. He understood what it took to play for this club. And I know it's not going to be popular, and I know that half, again, that would be an appointment where half the fan base would be absolutely buzzing and the other half would be like, oh, I can't stand him, get him out, blah, blah, blah. And I get that, but he's going to be Millwall manager one day. It might not be this time, but he is going to be Millwall manager one day, in my opinion. And
I'm all for it. I love Morrow. I think after
I love him, but I just don't know just yet.
He didn't do that bad at Cardiff, Dan. He got slated.
No, he didn't. He didn't. No, I do agree with you. And their fans were quite upset when he went.
Yeah, they were in a massive sort of transformation period. A lot of club players leave, and he got a lot in. And obviously, he's doing. I know it's Honchurch, so I do understand that fully. But they've played 12, won 11, drawn 1 or something, haven't they? So
yeah, he's doing something right. There's no denying that.
I would be. Yeah, I'd be delighted with Morrow back in the club.
Would the club leak any interviews or manager appointment interest? I highly doubt it. We don't get anything on transfers.
Yeah. I mean, we all know where it would be if we was to get anything. To be honest, I don't even think they'd do the interviews at the training ground or the stadium at this stage. To be honest, I feel they'll either take place either on like a Zoom or a Teams, and maybe they might book some like posh hotel in London to do a few.
Yeah, I quite agree. Without a doubt, Morrow throws his hat into the ring. I'd take Morrow, gets the club 100%. Morrow is 1, Joe Dolan is 2. That would be interesting. Morrison should stay where he is for now, earn his stripes.
I think Morrison should come back into like league, I mean, the Colchester job's open at the minute. If he goes to Colchester and does a good job, I'm all for it. But Neil Harris and Steve Morrison are actually 2 of the favourites for that Colchester job at the minute. So that'll be interesting.
I don't think Morrison would be a bad appointment. Cardiff fans liked him and could see he was building something. I quite agree. I think that this next one, I'm pretty sure Cardiff had ownership issues when he was there. I'd take him as manager. I do think that there was a lot going on behind the scenes that went against him.
They're still under that big transfer embargo. I don't know whether it had just been put down under Morrison, and obviously he tried to basically rebuild the entire squad and style of football.
No, not Morrow. Let him learn the trade. Interviews are taking place at Pizza Hut in the Trafford Centre. Ben, get on it, and Anthony, you.
Yeah, Anthony can be our man.
CCTV camera footage, please. To have Morrison in the first team set in any role would be a quality, especially as attacking coach. I quite agree. I get the club, but not going to apply. Come on, guys. Ari Morrison. Morrison would be perfect for me. Knows the club, knows the fans, knows what we need.
There's not many. There's not actually many negative comments.
No, there's not. Cardiff was a poison job.
Might have to get Joe, aka Mr. Millwall Polls, on this Steve Morrison question. I think.
Honestly, he would definitely split the fan base, but for me, I love him. I think he's absolutely he would be one of the perfect candidates to be Millwall manager. And as I say,
Joe now to get that poll going on Twitter. So if you don't follow Millwall polls already on Twitter, guys, go and drop them a follow. There'll be a poll, a scientific way of proving whether Steve Morrison would be a popular appointment with the fans or not.
Now we're talking, get Morrison in. If Morrow got it, Webster would be 2 and Jed back in January. Get the band back together. Look,
now we are talking. I'm getting excited now. It's got to be all warm and tingly, that.
Morrison would solve the pitch invasion issues. I was waiting for a comment about that. It wouldn't surprise me if he was on a short list. Let's put it that way. It just wouldn't surprise me. If I'm gonna sort of look to perhaps wrap this up. We'll start to maybe another 5-10 minutes or so. Blackburn Tuesday. Give us a prediction, Dan.
2-2.
Ben.
3-1.
I'm assuming to Millwall.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm gonna go for a nervy 1-0. I think it'd be. I think it'd be quite a bitty game. Blackburn are hit and miss. We're obviously hit very, very miss at home. So I think
that Smodics. I think he's. I don't know. That Smodics. He seems to have scored or assisted in like every game so far this season. I just think we're going to struggle to deal with a player like him, to be honest. And they've also one player that has popped into my mind. They've got this player called Sigurdsson. I think he's on loan from a Russian team at the minute, but he looks a quality player.
Morrow for attacking coach, not a manager. Now too soon for him. Get Jimmy Abdu back too. I'm a big fan of that. Byron Webster, I've referred to Jimmy Abdu as the nicest man in football the other day at the Legends Night. So I quite agree.
Has he started managing yet? I'm not sure.
No idea, but if we're going to get the band back together, there's a space for Jimmy. There's got to be.
I'm checking this now. There's a VAR check going on.
Tomorrow we'll get more time. Millwall couldn't afford another sacking. Oh, look at this! Look at this one. Look, Millwall 4, Blackburn 3. That's just No, it's not. That's mean. That you can't do that to us.
3-0 down as well. Fuck it, why not?
2-1 Wall. What else we got? Told you 3-0 Comfy.
I can't find anything on if Jimmy Abdu's currently a manager. The one
2-0.
overarching memory I have of Jimmy since he left the
1-1.
club was I put the African Cup of Nations on a few years ago. Just because they were playing, and within 5 minutes, Jimmy managed to get himself sent off.
I would have Morrison. That's what they are. Just Jimmy. He's just what a hero. Like Morris on the coach staff, not number one yet. Hart says 2-1 Wall, but Head says another 1-1. Dave Clark, the negativity, 1-2 Blackburn, 0-0 boring. 2-1 to Mill from Tony. Zian hat-trick. 0-3 coming up. Jesus Christ. 2-0 Fleming and Bradders. If Adomo is fit, we drop Campbell, bring back Saville, we will win 3-0. Paul, I agree wholeheartedly with that, but it's not going to happen. I'm slowly losing all hope that I'm ever going to see George Saville start a game for our football club ever again.
Don't worry, mate. FA Cup round 3 to come. Accrington away.
0-0.
Hopefully, that's not far from me as well.
I'd say Ben's laughing if it's Accrington.
Perform like second half against Preston and we're done for. I'm not so sure. I think that's a little bit harsh. I agree with Bourne 3-0-3 Millwall.
A lot of confidence.
There is a lot of confidence. 2-1 Amaku and Fleming. We've got Abdu as running coach.
Fitness coach, brilliant. Yeah, let's do it. Jimmy
as a manager. Also, we're gonna go on a little bit of a waffle now, right? Our fitness coach, right? He don't look like a very fit man to me when he runs. When what I know I'm probably being a little bit harsh, but how comes every other club have got these really like proper looking fitness they run on, they're over, they sort out injuries, and the guy's probably a really nice guy and I'm doing him a really injustice. He just don't look like a fitness coach, does he?
I'm totally with you with that. Like, I'm not exactly fucking Mr. Motivator, but if you're going to be a fitness coach in a professional team, you can't be like Billy Bunter. I'm sorry, I can't have that.
Oh God, no. No, I would love to see also what the reaction would be. I'm sure he wouldn't be a hand clap. No, it wouldn't. He'd probably give it back, but I respect that completely. Savillon as a sub last minute winner, would love that. Sav has a knock, I know. He may well have a knock, David, but he has been on the bench for the last 10 games and he has come on and played.
And he scored against Plymouth, which led me to one of the happiest nights of my life.
Before there was a Kante, there was a Jimmy Abdu. Ours brings over a Greg sausage roll and a Red Bull. That's it. That's what you expect.
Do not diss that. That when I worked at Tesco, that was a great breakfast.
Got you through the day.
Oh mate, happily.
How about Morov Wise as a number 2? He showed more passion than Rowett when Zian scored. Right, guys, we'll do a little bit of an outro. We've been going now. We've had the first half, we've had the second half, we've had injury time, added on time, the lot. Before I do that, our fitness coach works in the Pizza Hut in Manchester. Everyone seems to work in the Pizza Hut in Manchester. And again, just seeing the fitness coach in the Pizza Hut at the Trafford Centre. It's fantastic, guys. Absolutely brilliant. But Ben,
where are you watching the game on Tuesday night, mate?
I'm 100% taking my phone and I'm watching it on Sky Go in the Pizza Hut in the Trafford Centre.
Fantastic. Ben, any last final words from you before we shoot off?
No, look, much more positive performance yesterday, as we said. Other circumstances probably could have nicked it. I think more of that. I think the most concerning piece is that Barrett's probably going to will be highly up there for the job, isn't he? But
Mickey's at Pizza at Trafford Centre, isn't that where the interviews are being done? Someone said. Are we on to something here?
Is Neil Warnock there as well?
As it goes, Ben, yes, he is.
Oh.
Basically, get down to the Trafford Centre in the Pizza Hut. That's the place to be on a Sunday night at 20 to 10.
Yeah, no, much more positive, mate. And as I say, I think we'll win on Tuesday. So, yeah, come on, you Lions.
Dan, any final words of wisdom or hope or negative or whatever you want?
You know what? I'm calling it 4 points from the next 2 games. And we'll just see where we go from there. You know, it's not all doom and gloom. We've got to think about it that way. I mean, listen, I will just end it on. I think this is quite a positive note for me. When Rowett took over, we nearly
Jesus
appointed
Christ,
Gareth
record
Ainsworth.
this. Can we get this recorded?
Listen, when Rowett took over, we nearly went for Gareth Ainsworth. And look how bad QPR are doing at the minute. So, listen, it could always be a lot worse.
We kiss Sport QPR.
Big thanks again, gents. So much better without Shrek, Fester, Barrett, Mickey. That I can't beat
No
that.
comment.
I can't do any better than that. Lowell, I'm assuming that's supposed to be Lowell at Sky Going. Peace Heart, that's funny. Great show, lads. Good night, Mia. Thanks, Anthony. That's been that Sunday Night Live with me, Stephen, Dan, and Ben. As you know, as we said at the start of the show, there is a chance that Mickey is in the running for the Millwall manager's job. So you might have to put up with us moving forward. But I'm pretty sure we will be seeing Mickey's face very, very soon on one of these. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you can like and subscribe on YouTube, follow us across all the other socials. If you can share us on your socials as well, that would be really, really great. It would really help us out. And as I say, we're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers if possible. So you never know, we might get there. But again, thanks for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. And before that, we will catch you at the Den for another win, we hope, versus Blackburn. Come on, you Lions.